everyone, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And before I get going with my video today, I just wanted to take a moment and I wanted to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel and who watches, likes, comments, shares, everything you guys do. I appreciate it. Doesn't go unnoticed, and I just wanted to really sincerely thank you guys, because I know everybody's busy, we're all busy, and the fact that you guys take even 2 minutes out of your day to watch my videos and support the channel, it really means everything to me. So thank you to everyone. And if this is your first time here, I want to thank you for checking out my channel. And if you like everything movies, that's what we do here. So this is the point when I tell you to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, and you'll know when I upload my videos. So what I have for you guys today is the Criterion review segment that I have promised you. I have 4 films that I have pulled out of my collection, and I either watched or rewatched, because in some cases it was a first time watch, but most of them I had to just rewatch so I could give it a proper review. And without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. And the first one is Spine number 917. It stars Irene Dunne and Cary Grant in The Awful Truth. And it says it right on the back. This is the role that first defined the Cary Grant persona, and it's from 1937. So anyone who knows Cary Grant or has seen Cary Grant, you know just how funny he is, how great his comedic timing is, and how overall just charming he is in every movie that he's in. I could watch him all day. He is so incredibly funny and talented. I love everything Cary Grant is in, so this was no different. And what we have here is we have Cary Grant plays Jerry, and Irene Dunne plays Lucy, and they're married. And we start the movie starts out with Cary Grant sitting under a tanning lamp in what looks to be like a locker room of maybe a tennis club, because one of his friends walks in holding a tennis racket. And the guy working the tanning lamp says, you know, how long do you want to be under this thing? And he says, Cary Grant's character says, long enough for it to look like I have been in Florida for the last 2 weeks. So right away, you know he's been lying, and he's been telling someone, we assume his wife, that he has been in Florida for 2 weeks, and he has obviously been somewhere else. So his friend the friend with the tennis racket makes a joke, and off he goes. Jerry goes home to find that Lucy is not home, and the mail is unopened. She hasn't been home all night. Well, they have a few friends there to welcome him home, and lo and behold, Lucy comes strolling through the front door like nothing happened, with her music teacher with her. And it turns out that she has been out all night because she was somewhere with her music teacher, and his car broke down, and she claims that they had to get a hotel and stay overnight. So a few looks go back and forth, and all the guests and the music teacher decide to leave, and right away they get into it because they're accusing each other of lying, there's hints of infidelity, and obviously this isn't a new problem. This is something that's been going on with them. And she actually, Lucy actually looks at an orange that Jerry says he brought back from Florida, and it's stamped California on the front of it, so she throws it at him. And within 5 minutes, we go from a little argument to we're getting divorced. And it just kind of, so you know it's obviously been an ongoing problem. And we head to divorce court, and Jerry decides to pull out the dog card. They have a little dog. You can see him right here. He's a little terrier guy, and what a great dog. Whoever trained this dog did an amazing job, because the dog was amazing in the movie. And he has this little toy that he loves. So Cary Grant's character wants the dog, he wants the judge to decide who the dog is going to live with, because they both insist. The dog is how they met. They both wanted the dog in the pet store, and they decided that they would just get married so they could just share the dog. So the judge says, well, let's just let the dog decide. So what Jerry doesn't know is Lucy has the little toy, and she kind of, you know, tricks the dog into coming to her. And so Jerry demands visitation, and the judge grants it. And this is also a very convenient way for Jerry to continue to insert himself in Lucy's life at the most inopportune time. So we're now separate. She's living, they're living separate, and Jerry just keeps showing up. And no matter what's going on or who's there or what her plans are, his thing is, I'm always here to see the dog. He plays the piano for the dog. You know, really he's there to spy on Lucy. And he just tries to disrupt everything. She gets involved with a guy down the hall who's an Oklahoma businessman, and you know, she's not really into him, but I think it kind of comes across that she's dating him just to really aggravate Jerry and get under Jerry's skin. And the next thing we know, they're engaged, and he wants her to move to Oklahoma. So Jerry doesn't miss an opportunity to pick on her. He's like, oh yeah, you're going to do great in Oklahoma because you're going to fit in so well coming from New York City. And oh, you won't miss the city at all. So you see, there's hijinks that go back and forth, and the on-screen chemistry between Irene Dunne and Cary Grant, it's just undeniable. They are so good together, and everything that goes on comes out so naturally and so quickly. It almost seemed like the whole thing was improvisation. It almost seems like everything was improv. I'm assuming it was scripted. I don't know if any of it was improv or if it was just all scripted, and they are just that good. But everything they do is so on point, and it is such a home run. It is so funny. Now, you're talking about a film from 1937 that I was watching at 1 in the morning, and I was laughing out loud. That's how good and that's how good this movie is and how well it holds up over time. This is such a funny movie, and the hijinks that go on between the two of them, it's undeniable. And really, as much as they fight and as much as they bicker back and forth, you just know that this is a couple that truly, truly loves each other, and they really do belong together, even though they're doing this divorce thing. So I can't recommend An Awful Truth enough. It is so much fun. It is so funny. I could watch it again right now. You can watch it over and over. You're not going to be disappointed. And it recently got a new 4K digital restoration. It looks amazing. The picture is crystal clear. It does have that 1.37 aspect ratio, so you do get the black bars on the sides, but like I've told you a million times, you don't even see that after a while. There's some interviews with some critics about the director, and there's another interview, there's a video essay by the same, the critic David Cairns, on Cary Grant's performance in particular. So that should be really interesting. I didn't actually see that one. And then there is a nice essay book. I'll show you the packaging. This is the front, back, and spine. And then the inside is just, it's kind of plain. This actually kind of looks like the wallpaper in their apartment. It could be. I'm not sure. And then we have Jerry, very impressed with himself, as he should be. And Lucy there on the back. And these two they're fantastic together. It's really a well done movie, and they are cast perfectly. I would watch them in anything. And there's little Mr. Smith, if you can see him. And what a cute little dog he was. But yeah, there's essay books, and they start at the first essay is Divorce McCary Style, and it's a whole essay on the whole hijinks of the divorce and the whole mess that they created. And it's just so funny, and yeah, you'll never get sick of this one. So if you have not seen it, or even if you have seen it, I would highly suggest picking up the Criterion version. This is, again, it's spine number 917, The Awful Truth. Definitely put it on your list of ones to get. And I am going to grab my next title, and I will be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and I have my next film, which is appropriately spine number 666, The Devil's Backbone, a film by Guillermo del Toro, who also brought us films such as Kronos, Pan's Labyrinth, and most recently, The Shape of Water. And this one is actually from 2001, but it takes place during the final week of the Spanish Civil War. So we have our main character, who's a young man by the name of Carlos. He's 12 years old, and he has been living with the person he calls his tutor, which to us would be a guardian. His father has been off at war, and he's been left with this guardian to take care of him while his father is at war. Unbeknownst to him, his father has been killed in battle, so the guardian takes him to this orphanage where, unbeknownst to Carlos, he is going to negotiate to leave him there, because he feels he can no longer care for him. And he has Carlos go out and play in the courtyard and try and meet some of the other boys. And he goes in to talk to the owners, who, it's a lady, an older lady and an older gentleman, who run the home. And they say, listen, we are so poor, we can hardly feed the boys that we have. We can't possibly take on another boy. And he convinces them to take Carlos in. And so the way he tells Carlos that he's staying at the orphanage is, he drops his suitcase in the courtyard, gets in his car, and leaves him there. Doesn't explain anything. He doesn't know his father's dead. He doesn't know why he's there. And that is such a heartbreaking scene. That was a really tough scene to watch. So he's settling in, he's making friends, and the lady who runs the house takes him upstairs to the bunk area where he can find, she shows him where his bed is, and she gives him a key, and he says, what are these other beds? Why are they empty? And she said, you know, sometimes boys wander off, they run away, and it's not a jail. You don't have to stay here. Here's a key to get in and out, and, you know, you do what you want to do. And if you decide to stay, this is your bed. So right away, there's another boy there who is kind of a bully, and he is upset because the bed that Carlos is in used to belong to a boy by the name of Santos. And Santos has, by all accounts, gone missing. And he was this other boy's best friend. So he is really upset that someone is now in the bed of Santos. And all the other boys are whispering, and they know that this is going to be a problem. So I don't want to get into too many details because I don't want to give away the whole plot of this movie. What we know and what we find out through following Carlos around this orphanage is that there is a spirit in the orphanage that is haunting the orphanage. He is a spirit of a young boy. This is him on the front cover. He's very white, and he has this, it looks like red smoke coming out of his head, but it looks more like it's blood. It's obviously blood coming out of his head from some sort of an injury. And in the beginning, Carlos is really afraid of him, and he keeps running, but he knows where to find him. He lives in the basement of another building by this, it looks like a pool, but it's not really a pool. It's more like, it's got murky water. It's not typical pool water, but there's something to do with the pool or this body of water. And this boy who lives down there, and the other boys refer to him as the one who sighs. So other boys know of his presence there, and they're all afraid of him. So little by little, Carlos is not afraid of him. He keeps trying to make contact with him and trying to learn from him. And the only thing that the spirit of this little boy will tell him is that many of you will die. And Carlos doesn't understand. He keeps asking him to explain. And what I can tell you without ruining the movie is that this is the ultimate ghost story. And it is so creepy and so good. And everything in it looks amazing. The cinematography is beautiful. It looks great. It sounds great. Even what they did with the boy, the spirit of the boy, to make him look like a ghost is amazing, because he's white, but he almost looks transparent, and then the blood coming out of his head, and it looks like there's bubbles around him, which would make sense if he was somehow involved in the body of water. It's so realistic, it's frightening, and he keeps showing up in different places. And what it is that it says it right here on the back cover, that Del Toro reminds us that the scariest monsters are often the human ones. So as we learn about events that have taken place at this orphanage, we understand and we put the pieces together to find out why this spirit of this little boy is still there and what he needs to get the closure that he's looking for. And let me tell you, it is an amazing, amazing movie. This is one of my favorites. It's a tough call between this one and Pan's Labyrinth, but they are two of my very favorite films by Guillermo del Toro, and maybe one of my favorite films, and up in my top 10 of all time. This is a fantastic movie. So if you've not seen it, and even if you have seen it, this is definitely the edition you want to get. It is in Spanish, so it's subtitled in English. It is in Spanish, but it's not so dialogue heavy that it's difficult to get through. Again, it was from 2001. The aspect ratio is 1.85, so it kind of fills up the screen. And again, the cinematography is gorgeous. The colors pop. It's beautiful. And it has a restored 2K digital film transfer, but it almost looked like 4K to me. And then there's a lot of extras on here. There's video introductions by Del Toro from 2010. There's archival interviews with Del Toro about the creation of this film. There are 4 deleted scenes with the commentary from Del Toro about those deleted scenes. And there's also a new interview about the film's depiction of the Spanish Civil War. So there's a lot of extras on here. And not to mention, I mean, the film itself is a home run. And I can tell you that it comes full circle. And when the whole story is revealed, totally worth it. And you can totally see where the film started and where it ends, and everything that happened in between there. Nothing is left unanswered. Every question is answered, and it is such a solid film. It's one of my favorites. So I'm going to show you the packaging, because that's what we do. We have the front, back, and spine. And then we have just some simple artwork on the disc. It's not really anything crazy. It kind of looks like an eye with some cracks around it. And then we have a jar, and this jar will make sense after you see the movie, because actually the older gentleman who helps run the orphanage, explains that jar to Carlos. And this is the first sighting of the boy, the spirit of the boy in a window. And really, this is just a leaflet. It's not a huge essay book, but it has a lot of really cool pictures and drawings from the movie. So it's a nice little addition. I think you're going to get more from the extras on the actual Blu-ray than you will from the essay book, but it's still nice to have those. So yeah, put this on your shopping list, whether you wait for the November sale or you pick it up on your next Criterion outing. I know that Amazon still has some of these for about $22. If this is one of them, I'll link it in the description. Spine number 666, The Devil's Backbone. It's a great one. Okay, I am going to grab my next film and we're going to get to it. Okay guys, I'm back and I have my third film. It is Spine number 35, Diabolique, or Diabolique. I don't know which way you pronounce it, but either one, whatever works for you. This is from 1955. It is in French with English subtitles, and it is in the 1.33 aspect ratio. So again, you will have the black bars on either side, but we know what to do with those. And this is a really cool story. It says it right on the back. Before Psycho, Peeping Tom, and Repulsion, there was Diabolique, a thriller. And what this is we have it takes place at a boys' boarding school. And we have a husband, it's run by a husband and a wife. Really, the husband is the headmaster. And he's a pretty brutal guy. But his wife is in ill health. She has some sort of a heart condition they keep referring to, but she's apparently a little frail, weak, but she seems to be the one who is funding the school. So he is pretty much living off of her money. And he also has a mistress. And it's all out in the open. The wife knows about the mistress knows about the wife, and there's no secrets about it. And it seems like he is just waiting for his wife to keel over so he can be with the mistress. And he is very abusive to both of them. And in the beginning of the film, we see that the wife is actually consoling the mistress because she's showing up. She has a black eye. She said he came back. He had a fight with her. He's physically abusive. He's emotionally abusive. So these two kind of form an alliance, and their goal is to plot revenge against this horrible man who is terrorizing both of them. And the wife is really, really reluctant because she keeps saying, it's a sin, we can't do this, it's terrible. And the mistress is just like, no way. She is really tough. She said, we have to get rid of him. We have to, one way or another, we have to do something about him. And we both need to be on the same page, and that's that. So right away you see that the mistress is much stronger than the wife. And in the beginning of the movie, it says that this Diabolique means the devils. And they tell you at the end of the film not to be one of the devils, and do not tell other people what you have seen in this film because you don't want to ruin it for them. So I'm not going to ruin it for you. I am not going to tell you the whole plot of this film. What I can tell you is what I said. It's a revenge plot. A wife and a mistress get together and they plot revenge against the man who has been terrorizing them. And I can tell you there are twists, there are turns. You never know quite what's going on, and just when you think you know what's going on, it takes another turn. But this is a very creepy film. Because it takes place in this dark boarding school, it has that creep factor at night, and there are sounds that go on, and there are people that show up and they shouldn't be there, and certain people are supposed to be in places and they're not there, and the children say that they're seeing things, and the wife thinks she's seeing things, and there's all kinds of things going on, and nobody is really quite sure what is real and what isn't. So there's a lot of questioning going on, and that's about as much as I can tell you. Now, there was an American remake of this in, I believe, 1996, and it starred Sharon Stone, and Kathy Bates had a role in it, and it was really pretty bad. But this was really, really good. This was excellent. And like I said, 1955, and it still holds up. It looks great. It sounds great. The story is great. I kind of remembered a little bit of the story from the American remake. Like I said, it wasn't very good, but I kind of remembered part of it, but I didn't remember all of it. And this definitely has a twist ending that I really didn't see coming, and it really made the whole story great. So I would highly recommend this, the French version, the original version of Diabolique, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I know you won't be disappointed. If you like creepy horror, like haunted type things, seems to be our theme today, haunted house things. But if you like creepy supernatural things, you're really going to enjoy this one. It's a good one. And this one has a new digital restoration. It has some scene commentary from French film scholars. It has a new video introduction. That's what I was telling you about. Don't be the devil. And it also has a video interview with a novelist and film critic, Kim Newman. It also includes a booklet featuring an essay by another film critic. So you do get a lot of extras with this one, and I wish I could tell you more, but it really would ruin the whole story. But like I said, it really, the picture in the black and white with the restoration looks phenomenal, and the buildings are so creepy, and everything looks great. So I think you're going to be really happy with it. And this is what the front, back, and spine look like. And in the inside, you kind of have, these scary eyes. Somebody is scared to death there. There's a lot of those moments where people are quite scared in this one. And then you have just a silhouette of a, looks like a guy standing there. And then we have the essay book. And on the back is just the name of the film. And then it just tells you the chapters of the book. And here's the wife and the husband. He's a very cruel man. But yeah, it talks a lot about the whole revenge. These essays talk about the whole revenge plot, and then the tells you about the transfer, and there's a lot of good information in the essays. But again, I don't want to go too into it, because like it says at the end of the film, don't be one of the devils who ruins it for people who haven't seen it, because if you haven't seen it, if I tell you too much, it's just going to ruin the whole experience. I would say go into it blind, come up with your own, have your own experience with it, because I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. But I can't recommend this one enough. Spine number 35, Diabolique. So I am going to grab my last film, and we're going to wrap this one up. Okay guys, I have my last film, and we're going to wrap it up. And this one is Spine number 139, a film by Ingmar Bergman, Wild Strawberries. And this is a really, really amazing film. I had not seen this one. This was a first-time watch for me. So we start out, we meet our main character here, Professor Isaac Borg. And he is set to travel to a university to receive an honorary degree for being a professor and a doctor for however long he's been. And he wakes up, I guess he was supposed to take a plane. He wakes up, he decides, I'm not doing that, I'm going to drive the car. And he's been having some weird dreams. And actually, he's narrating it, and he tells us that he's been having some strange dreams, and he shows us that we see the dreams with him. And basically what he's dreaming about is his own mortality, his own death. So he wakes up and he's in a panic, and he just decides that he tells his housekeeper to pack his bags, and he's taking the car. And she's upset because she wanted to go with him, but she does not want to drive in the car. She wants to take the plane. And they're arguing like an old married couple, and they're not married. His wife, he tells us he has a son who has a wife. They have no children. And his wife, Karen, has been dead for many years, and now he just lives with this housekeeper. And he is a grumpy, grumpy old man, and he does not apologize for it. He's very open about it. He's writing a letter, and he's saying that he is a difficult person to deal with. And he's been living with this housekeeper, and she basically does everything for him. So she says, fine, if you want to ruin this important day, you go ahead, get in the car, drive your car. So what we find out is that his daughter-in-law, who's married, his son's wife, has been staying with him. And her name is Marianne. Yeah, Marianne. And Marianne decides that she will take the ride with him. And he says that, that's fine. And as they're driving in the car, they start to talk, and she brings up a loan. Apparently, he's very wealthy. Professor Borg is very wealthy, and he has loaned some money to his son to pay off some sort of debt, and he required that his son pay it back. And she says to him, I don't know why you have to make him, why are you so difficult? Why are you so hard? Why do you have to make him pay it back? And he said, it builds character, it teaches responsibility. And she said, you don't need the money. Why are you so mean to him? And she said, your son hates you, but he keeps paying you because he told you he would pay you. And he's kind of shocked to find out that his son hates him. And he says to her that I've enjoyed having you at the house. And she kind of is like, yeah, well, I enjoyed being there. And it's insincere, but as they're traveling, he tells her he wants to make a stop. And they stop at a childhood summer home where he summered with his family. And she goes off to take a swim. Marianne goes off to take a swim. And he sits down on the ground where the wild strawberries used to grow. And he starts to have flashbacks and reminisce about his life and his childhood and his family. And we learn about his life through these flashbacks, is basically what the movie is. Through his dreams and his flashbacks. And what he comes to find out is the things that have happened in his life that caused him to become the person that he is, and also how other people see him. And at one point during a dream sequence, a girl who he was supposed to marry, who ended up marrying his brother instead. He was going to marry his cousin, and his cousin fell in love with his brother, who was more interesting, and married him. And she holds the mirror up, and she tells him, look in the mirror, see the person you are. And he doesn't want to look in the mirror. He doesn't want to know who he is. And what I can tell you is that this is really a story of his self-discovery and seeing himself the way the world actually sees him through his flashbacks and through his dream sequences. And if this is such a creative way to do a film, this was so interesting, so insightful. There was so much going on, and everything is symbolic. Every person he meets, every encounter he has, every thought he has is so symbolic of a different period in his life. And it was flawless. This is probably my favorite film of Bergman's that I have seen up to now. I haven't seen many, but the ones that I've seen, this so far is my favorite. And I can tell you that he finally gets to a point in his life where he realizes that, I think he realizes that his own mortality is inevitable, and he's at that point in his life, which everybody must get to. And I think he's about 78 years old, and he is trying to be a different man for whatever time he has left. And whether he can do it or not, I don't know. But it appears that this road trip for him has been very, very therapeutic. And I can tell you it's a fun ride, it's an interesting ride, it is moving, it's heartfelt, and really you have to pay attention because there's a lot going on, and a lot of things are not as obvious as they may seem. It seems like it's something that's just very superficial, but there's really a lot of deep meaning. So there's a lot of layering that goes on. But this is from 1957. It's in black and white. It is in Swedish with subtitles, but there's not a lot of dialogue, so it's not difficult to keep up with. It is a 2K digital film transfer. It looked really, really good. It was a really solid transfer. There's some audio commentary. There's an introduction by Ingmar Bergman, which is always fascinating to hear the director actually speak. And there's behind-the-scenes footage. And then, of course, you get a nice essay book. So let's take a look. This is a really beautiful scene. This is where he's at his summer house. And that's where the wild strawberries grew. The inside is pretty plain. We get the chapters of the movie. And then just a silhouette of a tree that says wild strawberries. And then you have the essay book. You see Professor Borg with his, he spends a lot of time gazing around. But there's some really good essays. Where's the Friend That I Seek? This is one of the gals that he meets on the road, and he actually picks her and two guys up, and they give them a ride, but he actually learns quite a bit from her, and he sees quite a lot of his past in her. Very interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of essays about, this is the scene I was telling you about, where the gal holds the mirror up and tells him to see himself, and he doesn't want to look because he knows he's not going to like what he sees. But if you have not seen Wild Strawberries by Ingmar Bergman, I highly recommend it. There's another one that's really great. There's high rewatchability. I think that there's so much going on and there's so many different elements to it that there's definitely the rewatchability is there, so I can definitely see myself watching this again and again. So, yep, Spine number 139, Wild Strawberries. It's a winner. So that's going to do it for me today. So hopefully you found something in the pile that interests you and you can put it on your shopping list or check them out online or wherever you watch your Criterions. And that is going to do it for me today. I want to thank you guys as always for watching. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, leave me some comments, share, subscribe, hit the bell, you know the drill. And like I said, that's going to do it for me today. I'll be back with my picks of the week and the top 10 list. So for today, that's a wrap.